In the shop today, we got a Craftsman snow blower. This snow blower is made by MTD. You will also see this branded under the name Troy-Bilt. They sold a ton of these things. They're all over the place. Everybody seems to have one. They don't like to sit for a long time with pump gas on them. The carburetor loves to gum up. They're a pain in the butt to access the carburetor. If you have a snow blower like this and you're having an issue with it running, keep watching this video. I'm going to show you step by step how to remove the panel so you can access the carburetor, how to clean the carburetor, and get this thing back up and running. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing and click that notification bell. First, I'm going to start by confirming there's a problem. See if it starts up on its own. Plug it in. We're going to use the electric start. Make sure your choke is set and you're on the bunny. Prime it a couple times. No start. I'm going to shoot some fuel into the intake and see if it runs off that. That way we know it's a fuel carburetor issue. So these things are a real pain because the intake is buried in here. Let me see if I can get you in to get a better look in case you have to do this. Spray some gasoline in the intake. Now that I got the camera all the way zoomed in, this opening right here, if you can see it, that's our intake opening. Kind of hard to get to. I'm going to try and get some fuel in there, give a couple squirts. Okay, let's turn it over. All right, it ran on that fuel, so we know it's a fuel issue and the carburetor issue. So let's get to removing some panels. Okay, we're going to start and end with removing this bolt here. Just pull it out that much, and that frees up this cover to be removed all the way out. Next, we're going to remove these two number 10s. Okay, next on this wonderful design, we need to take pliers and pull this knob off. And then we need to use a screwdriver and get behind this knob and pry it off as well. I like to use a little bit of WD-40 or lubricant, spray it on both these items, kind of work it in there, and then it makes it easier pulling it off. Okay, with a little bit of oil, I'm gonna grab this with pliers. Brace it because it's going to want to roll back and give it a pull while. There you go. Not too bad. All right, in this piece, we want to take a small screwdriver, get it behind it. See, I'm actually behind the knob. And then we just kind of pry. So now that I got a little pried off a little bit, I'm going to step up my screwdriver game, get a little bit bigger one. Jam it in there. Wiggle it. And there it goes, shooting across the shop. Okay, next we're going to remove these 4 bolts. Number 10. Just know that these are Acorn nuts. And our last thing is we need to remove this valve cover vent. With this valve cover vent clamp off, we can remove this front cover, lift up here, and start wiggling out. All right, before you start yanking too hard, you need to remove this primer line. There's a little clamp in there. With that off, the cover can slide out. Now the cover's loose, but it's not loose enough yet. We want to free these lines from where they're routed. Okay, so you can see the primer line and this security key is routed underneath this thread, and it makes it harder to navigate and maneuver this cover. So I'm going to take number 10. Get them free. Pull this out. I'm going to put that cover right back on. Okay. Now we can get this cover out of our way. With that cover off, we can get to our carburetor. So remove these bushings. This is a choke bracket. Again, great design here. We need to undo the gas line and the governor linkage. Just that easy. Okay, there's a carburetor. I got all the tools that I need pretty much right here, ready to go. I'm going to make this kind of quick. I'll go over a couple things. But if you really want a better detailed video, check this card out in the corner here. That has me walking through carb cleaning on a different engine, basically the same. But this one I'm just going to kind of go quickly about, and when I find something, I will point it out. All right, open it up. Number 10, remove the bowl. A little bit of gunk. Remove the float. Take a look at the needle valve. Not too bad. Remove the jet. All right. Here's a good example. Sometimes the jets don't want to come out. And instead of tearing that apart, I'm just going to use this tip cleaner. Just kind of jam it through. You can see the tip cleaner going through. Clean it up a little bit. And the next size through. A little bit of carb cleaner. Don't forget this little jet here. This has a weird shape to it, but you can easily use a flathead screwdriver. Be gentle, pop this off. Make sure that that is clear. A little bit of cleaner. That should be it. Ready to put it back together. Let me get a Scotch-Brite pad or steel wool. Just clean this up. Much better. Inspect this gasket here. Sit it down. You want this drain bolt to be in the direction of this primer elbow. All right, ready to go back on. Next is the gasket. Then the choke assembly. First we start with this linkage up here. We feed that through. Slide that on. Now this is the great part about this design, is that you have to put it all back together before you can even test it out. Or if you were lucky enough and these bushings came out of the housing, you can just slide them on. Take the acorn nuts and just hand tight them. We're going to apply our primer tube. Next, we want to make sure that the primer is actually shooting gasoline into the intake. You see that? Perfect. Okay, with the carburetor snugged up against the head, we can switch this to choke. We already primed it. We know that works. Make sure that this is all the way to run on the Rabbit, all the way to left. And let's see if it starts up. All right, it works, it runs on its own. We're ready to put it back together. Same idea, just putting it back together is the same as taking it apart, just the reverse. One thing I will mention, this clip, you don't need it. Just put this hose back on the valve cover vent, it'll be fine. If you're having a tough time putting this cover back on, check to see if your choke lever is poking through. Sometimes you need to get your hand behind it and navigate it through this hole. Also, you want to make sure that this throttle control is going through this opening. Keep everything loose, because you still got to manipulate everything to line up holes, especially over here. Next, we put on the throttle control. The ears go down, and the hole is up. Just push it on like so. This has a tab that fits into the side here. Make sure it's properly oriented, and then push. All right, our last step is to fit this bracket back in between this connection and the motor. All right, let's give it one more test run. Put it on choke, put it on the Rabbit, 3 pumps, give it a start. If you have one of these engines, that's how you remove the front cover, get to the carburetor, clean everything out, throw that cover back on there. I can't say it's easy, but hopefully with the steps that I showed you, it takes the guesswork out. You just gotta get into it and get your hands dirty. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.